My daughter left her family and moved into a small apartment, telling me I need to find myself again. Hi everyone. Before we get into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel's reach has been dropping a bit, and one of the best ways you can support us is by subscribing. It's quick, free, and helps us keep bringing you new and interesting stories. Your support means the world to us, and together, we can grow this channel. Thank you so much. Now let's get to today's story. I'm writing from a temporary account for obvious reasons, and I've changed some details to protect my anonymity. The phone call came on a Tuesday afternoon in late September. I was in the kitchen, washing vegetables for dinner, when my phone rang. I dried my hands on a towel and picked it up, expecting it to be one of those automated calls about car insurance or solar panels. But it was my son-in-law, Marcus. "Hi, Margaret," he said, and his voice was strange, tight, like he was trying to hold something back. "Marcus, is everything okay? Are the kids all right?" "The kids are fine. They're at school." A pause. "It's Sarah. She left." I stopped moving. The kitchen suddenly felt too bright, the afternoon sun streaming through the window too harsh. "Left? What do you mean, left?" "She packed some bags yesterday, rented an apartment downtown. She said she needed space. She said," his voice cracked, "she said she needs to find herself again." I leaned against the counter, my legs suddenly unsteady. "She left you. She left the children?" "She didn't abandon them. She's still going to see them," she promised, "but she's not coming back home. Not right now, anyway." He sounded lost, bewildered. "I don't understand, Margaret. Everything was fine. We were fine, and then she just left." After we hung up, I stood there in the kitchen for a long time, staring at nothing. My mind was racing, trying to make sense of what he had told me, but the pieces would not fit together. Sarah, my responsible, dependable daughter, the one who had always done everything right. Good grades, good college, good husband, good mother. She had built what everyone called a perfect life. Beautiful house in the suburbs, 2 healthy children, a husband who loved her, and now she had walked away from all of it. I called her. The phone rang, and just when I thought it would go to voicemail, she answered. "Hi, Mom." Her voice sounded different. Lighter, maybe, or maybe just distant. "Sarah, what's going on? Marcus called me. He said you left." "I did." "Why? What happened? Are you okay? Did he do something?" "No, Mom. He didn't do anything. That's not what this is about." "Then what is it about?" "Help me understand, sweetheart." There was a long silence. I could hear her breathing, could almost feel her trying to find the words. "I need to find myself again," she said finally. "I know how that sounds. I know it sounds like a cliché. But I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know when I stopped being me and became just a collection of roles. Wife, mother, volunteer coordinator, PTA member. I look in the mirror and I don't recognize myself. But your family? I'm not abandoning them. I'll still see the kids. I'll still be their mother. But I can't keep living that life right now. I just can't." "Can I see you?" I asked. "Of course. I'll text you the address." That evening, I drove to the address she had sent me. It was a small apartment building downtown, older but well-maintained, with a coffee shop on the ground floor and narrow balconies overlooking the street. I climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor and knocked on her door. She opened it almost immediately, as if she had been waiting right there. She looked different. Her hair, usually pulled back in a neat ponytail, hung loose around her shoulders. She wore jeans and a soft sweater, no makeup, and she was barefoot. She looked younger somehow, and tired. So tired. "Hi, Mom," she said, stepping back to let me in. The apartment was small. Tiny, really. A living room that opened into a kitchen barely big enough for one person. A hallway that I assumed led to a bedroom and bathroom. There was almost no furniture. A futon against one wall. A small table with 2 chairs. Boxes stacked in the corner, still unpacked. But the windows were large, and the evening light poured in, golden and warm. "I know it's not much," Sarah said, closing the door behind me. "It's fine," I said automatically, though I was not sure it was. I was not sure about anything. She made tea, and we sat at the small table by the window. Outside, the street was busy with evening traffic, people walking home from work, the sounds of the city drifting up. "Tell me what happened," I said gently. She wrapped her hands around her mug, staring down into the tea. "I don't know if I can explain it. Nothing happened, really. That's the problem. Nothing was wrong, but nothing was right either." "That doesn't make sense, sweetheart." "I know." She looked up at me, and her eyes were full of something I could not quite name. Pain, maybe, or relief. "Do you remember when I was little, and I used to say I wanted to be an artist?" I nodded. Of course I remembered. Sarah had been such a creative child, always drawing, painting, making up stories. Her room had been full of sketch pads and colored pencils and half-finished projects. "I haven't picked up a paintbrush in 12 years, she said quietly. 12 years, Mom. I used to paint every day. It was the thing I loved most in the world. And then I got busy with college, and then with Marcus, and then with the wedding, and then with Emma, and then with Jack, and somewhere along the way, I just stopped." "You can still paint," I said. "You don't have to leave your family to do that." "It's not just about painting. It's about everything. When was the last time I read a book I wanted to read, instead of another parenting manual or cookbook? When was the last time I went somewhere alone, just because I wanted to see it? When was the last time I did anything that was just for me?" She looked at me, and her eyes were pleading, asking me to understand. "I love Marcus. I love my children, but I don't love my life. And I don't know when that happened. I don't know when I became this person who just goes through the motions, checking boxes, doing what's expected. I wake up, I make breakfast, I pack lunches, I do laundry, I drive carpool, I make dinner, I help with homework, I clean up, I go to bed. And the next day, I do it all again. And again, and again." "That's what being a mother is," I said, though my voice was uncertain. "I know. And I'm not saying it's not important. I'm not saying I regret having my children. But, Mom, I'm disappearing. Every day, a little more of me disappears, and I'm terrified that if I don't do something now, there won't be anything left." I did not know what to say. Part of me wanted to tell her she was being selfish, that marriage means sacrifice, that motherhood means putting yourself second, that we all feel tired and overwhelmed sometimes, but we push through because that is what we do. But another part of me, a part I had kept buried for so long, understood exactly what she meant. I looked at my daughter, really looked at her, and I saw something I had not seen in years. I saw the girl who had dreamed of being an artist, who had wanted to travel the world, who had been full of plans and possibilities. And I saw how she had folded all of that away, tucked it into some hidden corner of herself, to make room for everyone else. "Tell me about your days," I said, "the ones before you left. Walk me through an average day." She took a sip of tea, thinking. "I'd wake up at 6, get the kids ready for school. Make breakfast, pack lunches. Emma needs her inhaler in her backpack. Jack forgets his homework every single day, so I have to check. Drive them to school, come home, do dishes, start laundry, clean the kitchen, answer emails about the school fundraiser I'm coordinating, go grocery shopping, come home, put groceries away, fold laundry, start dinner prep, pick kids up from school, take Emma to soccer practice, bring Jack home, help him with homework, go back to get Emma, come home, finish making dinner, eat, clean up, help with more homework, give baths, read bedtime stories, get them to bed, clean up more, do more laundry, collapse on the couch, scroll through my phone not even seeing what I'm looking at because I'm so tired, go to bed, wake up, and do it all again. What about Marcus? Doesn't he help? He tries. He does. But he works long hours, and when he comes home, he's exhausted too. And I know I should ask for more help, but I don't even know what to ask for. It's not about dividing tasks. It's about the fact that I don't have time to even think about what I want because I'm so busy making sure everyone else has what they need. She set her mug down, her hands shaking slightly. A few weeks ago, Emma asked me what my favorite color was, and I couldn't remember. I stood there in her room, helping her pick out an outfit, and I could not remember what my favorite color was. I know hers. I know Jack's. I know Marcus's. But mine, I had no idea. And that's when I realized how lost I was. I remembered Sarah as a child. She had been such a bright, imaginative girl, always making up games, putting on shows for us in the living room, turning ordinary days into adventures. She had been full of light. When had that light dimmed? I thought about the years after she got married. The visits where she seemed increasingly frazzled, increasingly thin, increasingly like she was running on fumes. I had chalked it up to the demands of young children, had told her it would get easier, had assured her this was normal, but maybe normal did not mean okay. I remember when you told me you were pregnant with Emma, I said. You were so excited, nervous, but excited. I was, Sarah said, and a small smile crossed her face. I remember thinking I was going to be the best mother in the world. I had all these ideas about the kind of parent I wanted to be. Patient, present, creative. I was going to make everything special. You are a good mother. But I'm not happy. And what kind of example is that for them? What am I teaching Emma? That being a woman means sacrificing everything until there's nothing left of you? That your own needs and dreams don't matter? I flinched because I recognized the truth in what she was saying. I recognized it because I had lived it. I thought about my own life, my own marriage, my own sacrifices. I had wanted to go back to school once, to finish my degree, but there had been no money and no time, and my husband had said we needed me at home with the kids, so I had stayed home. And when the kids were older and I had mentioned it again, he had said I was too old to go back to school, that it would be a waste. I had wanted to travel, to see places beyond our small town, but there had never been money for that either, and my husband did not like to travel, and eventually I stopped bringing it up. I had folded my own dreams away, just like Sarah had, and I had told myself it was fine, that this was what you did when you loved someone, when you had a family, you made sacrifices. But what if those sacrifices had been too much? What if I had given away so much of myself that I could not remember who I had been before? Do you regret marrying Marcus? I asked quietly. No, she said immediately. I love him, but I think I stopped loving myself somewhere along the way, and I need to figure out how to do both. We sat in silence for a while. The light outside was fading, the sky turning from gold to pink to purple. Tell me about this place, I said, looking around the apartment. Why did you choose it? She smiled, a real smile this time. The light, the windows. I came to see it on a Sunday morning, and the light was pouring in, and I thought, I could paint here. I could set up an easel right there by the window. I could wake up on a Saturday morning and paint all day if I wanted to, and nobody would need me to do anything else. Have you painted yet? Not yet, but I bought supplies. They're in that box. She pointed to one of the cardboard boxes in the corner. I'm going to unpack them tonight. What will you paint? I don't know. Anything, everything. Maybe nothing good at first. I'm so out of practice, but I don't care. I just want to paint again. I want to remember what it feels like to create something just because I want to. I stood up and walked to the window. From here, I could see the street below, the lights of the buildings across the way, the movement of the city. It was so different from the quiet suburban neighborhood where Sarah had been living, so different from the house with the big backyard and the two-car garage and the perfect lawn. Are you scared? I asked, not turning around. Terrified, she admitted. I'm scared I'm making a huge mistake. I'm scared I'm going to regret this. I'm scared the kids are going to hate me. I'm scared Marcus is never going to forgive me. But I'm more scared of what will happen if I don't do this. I turned to face her. What will happen to the kids? Marcus and I have a schedule worked out. I'll see them twice a week for dinner, and every other weekend, they'll stay here with me. I'll still be at their school events. I'll still be their mother, just not full-time. And Marcus? He's angry. He doesn't understand. He thinks I'm being selfish and irresponsible. Maybe I am. But I can't keep pretending everything is fine when I'm dying inside. She looked at me, and I saw the little girl she used to be, the one who had come to me with scraped knees and broken hearts, trusting that I would fix everything. But I could not fix this. This was not something a Band-Aid and a kiss could heal. I don't know if I agree with what you're doing, I said slowly. Part of me thinks you should go back, try to work it out, find a way to make it work. Her face fell. But, I continued, another part of me understands, and that part is angry with myself for not understanding sooner, for not seeing how much you were struggling, for not asking the right questions. Mom, when I was your age, a little younger actually, I wanted things too. I wanted to finish school, I wanted to work, I wanted to see the world, but I didn't. I stayed. I did what was expected of me, and I told myself it was fine, that I was happy, that I had everything I needed. I sat back down, looking at my hands. When had they gotten so old? But sometimes, late at night, I would lie awake and think about all the things I didn't do, all the choices I didn't make, and I would feel this ache, this deep longing for a life I would never have. And then I would feel guilty for feeling that way, because I had a good husband and beautiful children, and what right did I have to want more? Sarah was crying now, quiet tears sliding down her cheeks. I don't want you to feel that way in 20 years, I said. I don't want you to look back and regret not taking this chance, even if it's scary, even if people don't understand, even if it means disrupting everything. You really mean that? I nodded. I do. But Sarah, you have to make sure you're not running away from your problems. You have to make sure you're running toward something, toward yourself. I am, she said. I promise I am. We talked for hours that night. About her childhood, about her marriage, about her fears and hopes and dreams. She showed me the art supplies she had bought, paints and brushes and canvases, still in their packaging, waiting. Will you paint something for me? I asked. What do you want? Anything, something that makes you happy. She smiled. I will. When it was time for me to leave, she walked me to the door. We stood there for a moment, and then she hugged me, holding on tight. Thank you, she whispered, for not hating me. I could never hate you, I said. You're my daughter, and I love you no matter what. I drove home through the dark streets, my mind full of everything we had talked about. When I got home, the house was quiet. My husband was already asleep. I walked through the rooms, looking at the life we had built, the furniture we had bought, the pictures on the walls, the routines we had settled into. It was a good life, a comfortable life, but I could not help but wonder what my life would have looked like if I had made different choices, if I had been brave enough to want more, to ask for more. Over the next few weeks, I visited Sarah often. I helped her unpack boxes and arrange furniture. I went with her to buy a coffee maker and a lamp and curtains for the windows. Slowly, the apartment stopped feeling like temporary shelter and started feeling like a home. Her home. She set up her easel by the window, just like she had said she would. And one afternoon when I came to visit, she was painting. She did not hear me knock, so I let myself in with the key she had given me, and I stood in the doorway watching her. She was painting the view from her window. The buildings across the street, the tree on the corner, the sky overhead. It was not finished yet, but I could see what it would become. Something beautiful, something alive. She was humming to herself, her brush moving across the canvas with confidence and joy. And in that moment, she looked like the girl I remembered, the one who had been so full of dreams. I must have made a sound because she turned and saw me. Mom, I didn't hear you come in. I didn't want to interrupt. She set down her brush, smiling. What do you think? I think it's beautiful. It's not done yet. I know, but I can see what it's going to be. She walked over and hugged me. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for supporting me. I know this hasn't been easy for you. Nothing worthwhile ever is, I said. I started seeing her children more often, too. Emma and Jack. Marcus would drop them off at my house for visits, and we would bake cookies and play games and talk. They asked about their mother, of course. Is Mom ever coming home? Emma asked one day, her voice small. I don't know, sweetheart. Maybe someday, but right now she needs some time. Is it our fault? Jack asked. No, I said firmly, pulling him into a hug. It is not your fault. Not even a little bit. Your mom loves you so much. Sometimes grown-ups need to figure things out, and that doesn't have anything to do with you. I hoped that was true. I hoped that Sarah would find her way back to them, or that they would find a way to adjust to this new arrangement. I hoped that in time, the hurt would heal, and they would all be okay. But I did not know. None of us did. One Saturday afternoon, Sarah invited me to her apartment for lunch. When I arrived, she had set the table with flowers and good dishes, and she had cooked a proper meal. What's the occasion? I asked. No occasion. I just wanted to do something nice. We ate and talked, and then she brought out a painting. It was wrapped in brown paper, tied with string. I finished it, she said. The one you asked for. I unwrapped it carefully. It was not the view from her window. It was something else entirely. It was a woman sitting by a window, her face turned toward the light. The details were soft, impressionistic, but I could see the peace in her expression, the sense of quiet contentment. It's me, Sarah said softly, or who I hope to become. Someone who is at peace with herself, someone who knows who she is. I stared at the painting, at the light and color and hope captured on the canvas, and I felt tears sliding down my face. It's perfect, I whispered. I want you to have it, to remember that it's never too late to find yourself, even if you have to lose yourself first. I took the painting home and hung it in my bedroom, where I could see it every morning when I woke up, and every time I looked at it, I thought about choices, about the ones I had made and the ones I had not, about the dreams I had put aside and the life I had built instead. I thought about Sarah and her courage to walk away from everything that was expected of her to find what she needed. And I thought about myself, and whether there was still time, still space, still permission to want more. One evening, I said to my husband, I've been thinking, I want to take a class, maybe at the community college, something I'm interested in. He looked up from his newspaper, surprised. A class? At your age? Yes, at my age. What kind of class? I don't know yet. Maybe literature, maybe history, maybe art, something that makes me happy. He frowned. If that's what you want. It is. And for the first time in a very long time, I felt something shift inside me. Something small but significant. Hope. Sarah was still figuring things out. Her marriage was still in limbo. Her relationship with her children was still complicated. The future was uncertain, but she was painting. She was remembering who she was. She was finding herself again, and maybe that was enough. Maybe that was everything. I learned something from my daughter in those months. I learned that finding yourself is not selfish, that taking time to remember who you are is not abandonment. That love does not mean disappearing. I learned that women are not meant to be only wives, only mothers, only caretakers. We are meant to be whole people with dreams and desires and identities that exist beyond the roles we play. I learned that it is never too late to become who you were always meant to be. And I learned that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose yourself. 6 months after Sarah moved into her apartment, I visited her on a Sunday morning. The sun was streaming through those big windows, and she was at her easel, lost in her work. The apartment was no longer bare. She had filled it with plants and books and bright cushions. She had hung her paintings on the walls. She had made it hers. "How are you?" I asked. She turned to me, and her smile was radiant. "I'm good, Mom. I'm really good." And looking at her, seeing the light back in her eyes, the color back in her cheeks, the life back in her spirit, I knew she was telling the truth. She had found herself again. And in doing so, she had given me permission to look for myself too. That, I realized, was the greatest gift a daughter could give her mother.